When the COVID-19 pandemic first struck, one of many concerns for public health officials and community leaders alike was preventing the spread of the virus. As it turned out, a very reliable method was to quarantine those who were infected. But most people who contracted COVID didn't show symptoms for a few days. Some showed no symptoms at all. Even then, a person who felt sick or thought they might have been exposed had to get tested to know for sure if they had COVID-19. Then they might have had to wait a couple more days to receive their lab results. By the end, an infected person could have unknowingly spread the virus throughout an entire community. When college students returned to campus for the fall semester of 2020, some universities wanted to expedite this discovery process. They needed to know when a dorm housed a student or students infected with coronavirus almost immediately, so they could isolate and test those living in the dorm and pinpoint anyone carrying the virus in order to prevent any sort of widespread infection. The solution was found in the bathroom. Well, it was not literally found in a particular bathroom, but what occurs in a bathroom was actually the key to locating the potential epicenter of an outbreak, thanks to a process called wastewater disease surveillance, or WDS.
I'm Kaushal Trivedi, Business Development Manager for Teledyne ISCO for the water platform products, and water platform products includes flow meters and sampler product lines, where we make automatic samplers, flow sensors, electronics, and remote communication devices, as well as the software. Wastewater disease surveillance is basically you are trying to find the presence of virus or spread of infectious disease through wastewater analysis, community pooled wastewater analysis. So you are trying to find out what is the infection at a community level. The benefit of WDS or wastewater based disease surveillance is you get 5 to 7 days in advance this information. And why it is, I'll give you the example of a recent COVID-19 case. When person get infected, it will not show the symptoms for next 2-3 days. Person might take a couple days to go for the clinical testing. Accurate results coming from the clinical testing takes another 3 days. So you lost already 6-7 days. Whereas the same person, on the day one he or she get infected, started shedding virus through his or her stool, and it end up in a wastewater. And on the day one, if that analysis is performed, you can find the presence of virus on a day one.
Just a quick note from the editor's chair. In this video, the term wastewater disease surveillance is used throughout. The terminology for this process is always evolving and has recently morphed into wastewater-based surveillance, or WBS, as more and more discoveries have been made not so much relating to specific diseases. For example, WBS helps detect PFAS, or per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, commonly known as forever chemicals. These substances can build up in humans and have been linked to potential health problems. Okay, back to the video. Wastewater disease surveillance as we know it has been used in the United States since the 1940s, when it was used to detect traces of polio in wastewater. Since then, the techniques used in WDS have remained largely the same.
So there are 3 major steps. One is the field activity, wherein you collect accurate source representative samples and transport it properly to the lab. Then second activity is, once the sample arrived in the lab, they are doing analytics on that. When I say analytics, they are trying to find the past trend as well as they predict the future trends, what's going to happen kind of thing. So that's an analytics get implemented. And then that information, the third step and last is it has to go into public health department so that they can take enough control measures or they can take proper actions to balance economy versus the spread.
Logistically, the actual physical collection of the wastewater sticks out like a sore thumb. In order to test the sample, you first have to get it back to the lab safely and securely. Going out to the sewer systems of places like nursing homes and universities means you need a way to keep that sample at a cool enough temperature during transport to avoid compromising the presence of any potential virus. You also don't want any people to come into contact with the wastewater and contaminate the sample. Plus, I'm sure most people would like to avoid contact with wastewater entirely for other completely obvious reasons. Luckily, scientists were already using Teledyne ISCO's wastewater samplers to safely conduct WDS before the COVID-19 pandemic even started.
We were working with many labs and entities. Those were involved in doing wastewater analysis for the opioid overdose. So we are in discussion with them for the sampling portion of it. And when the COVID outbreak hit in 2020, all these labs changed their focus to the COVID-19, and right away all the sampling discussions started for the COVID sampling. So we were involved at a very early stage, Q1 2020.
Teledyne ISCO is known for achieving many firsts in the world of water sampling. Some of its advances include the first non-contact liquid detector, the first sampler with interchangeable modules for measuring both flow and parameters, and the very first refrigerated sampler designed for use outdoors. The folks at Teledyne ISCO took that same controller used for outdoor refrigeration and with it created the Blizzard, a fully portable refrigerated sampler. The Blizzard can hold up to 14 separate samples, which makes mass collection from remote outlets a heck of a lot easier.
Some cities are trying to do sampling for multiple locations. Let's say 40 nursing home in one city, I remember that. They wanted to do it, let's say at least 10 to 15 nursing home per day do the sampling. For that, portable refrigerated sampler ISCO make Blizzard is an ideal. It has a multi-bottles, so operator can assign one bottle for each location, and they can move from one location to another. It has a built-in refrigeration, so battery powered, no need of any AC. So the temperature gets cooled right away, and they don't have to worry about rise in temperature when they move from one location to another. So that Teledyne ISCO Blizzard sampler is an ideal sampler for that. The rise in temperature can compromise the presence of virus. So you are trying to control the temperature. So you are trying to cool down the sample as soon as the samples are taken. And good thing is ISCO refrigerated sampler can maintain sample temperature at a 4 degrees centigrade at even high temperature outside. It will still maintain temperature of the sample as 4 degrees centigrade.
The Blizzard isn't the only portable sampler used in WDS, however. Teledyne ISCO has a wide range of samplers that can be used for single remote locations or even wastewater treatment plants. Deciding which sampler to use depends on your purpose and location.
Purpose can be either you are trying to detect the presence of the virus. If you are in early stage of the outbreak, you are trying to find just a presence. But if you are already in the mid of the outbreak, everywhere there's a hotspots, then you are trying to find the trend. So purpose can be to find prevalence of the virus or the finding the trend. If you are in the finding the trend, then I think wastewater treatment plant influent is a good locations. Wastewater is coming from different neighborhoods and kind of stuff. So that's a good locations. And there ISCO 5800 series permanent refrigerated sampler 6712 FR or platinums are ideal because it has a very good very powerful refrigerations built onto that. It is an AC powered, which is generally available at all the influent locations. So that's an ideal for finding trend and AC powered refrigerated sampler. To detect the presence of the virus, then you are trying to go to the source. It is better to go to the source, and when I say source, means either buildings or the neighborhood outlet. And as these sites are remote, it is advisable to use a portable sampler, and ISCO makes wide range of portable sampler, GLS 3700 and 6712 portable. And in most of the cases, time-based composite sampling is good enough. So GLS and 3700 are good recommended sampler for that. But in some cases, let's say for an example at a community outlet, it is better to take flow-based sampling because in the community people are using bathrooms and toilet. Most of the people are using in the morning time. So it is better to take more samples during that time instead of in the afternoon where only few people are using. So in that case, you are trying to take flow-based sampling, and that 6712 is an ideal sampler because it has a built-in flow module with the sampler. So that is a nice recommended for those locations.
I've been showing clips around the University of Nebraska's East Campus in Lincoln, Nebraska, where Teledyne ISCO has been located since 1958, when UNO alum Dr. Robert Allington founded Instrumentation Specialties Company, or ISCO for short, inside his own garage. But Teledyne ISCO samplers have been helping communities worldwide, not just here in Nebraska. Earlier, we discussed how universities using WDS could ideally prevent outbreaks before they even have the chance to occur. Well, if we take a look southwest, one university in Arizona accomplished that exact goal when students first returned to campus at the beginning of the pandemic.
That one university in Phoenix, in 2020, after summer break, when students started coming in, they implemented this WDS program, and one day, and they put a sampler at different locations throughout the campus. One day they detected virus presence and outlet of the dorm, and they immediately implemented clinical testing for that dorm, and they were able to isolate only 2 students out of many, just 2 students. So if this would not have been implemented, think about it, that entire campus had to go into lockdown situation. A lot of activities would have suffered. Parents would have been worried about their kids and kind of thing. So we are very happy that our samplers are used in this, and we are able to contribute to the community.
Wastewater disease surveillance is still a growing science. WDS helps researchers find the presence of infectious diseases beyond COVID, some as simple as the common flu. Or take a look at Cary, North Carolina, where wastewater samplers have been used to gather data on substance overdoses. Teledyne ISCO wants WDS to be widely available and has partnered up with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to help even more communities in the United States.
We are very happy that we are able to help community like this, and WDS, one of the importance of the WDS, CDC has realized that. CDC is providing free samplers to all small utilities for this WDS program, and I'm very happy to say that we are the primary sampler supplier in that program.
Wastewater disease surveillance has come a long way since the days of polio. However, researchers in the UK discovered traces of polio using WDS as recently as the spring of 2022. Dr. Robert Allington discovered he was stricken with polio 3 years prior to founding ISCO inside his own garage, and soon after became paralyzed. Dr. Allington sadly passed away in 2006 at the age of 70, but today Allington's company plays a pivotal role in the detection and prevention of serious infectious diseases, much like the one he himself had battled. If some new, dangerous infection eventually pops up, which, as we now know, is entirely possible, there are methods in place to help detect it in wastewater, and Teledyne ISCO's wastewater samplers will be there to help. Hello, and thank you for watching this episode of Do You Know ISCO? My name is Damon Barr. I'm the videographer here at Teledyne ISCO. If you'd like to see more about wastewater disease surveillance, here's a link to the full interview with Kaushal Trivedi, Teledyne ISCO's Water Platform Business Development Manager, which you can also find in the description down below. Kaushal was a huge help in the making of this video, and we really appreciated his expertise on the subject. Be on the lookout for more Do You Know ISCO content, and make sure to subscribe to stay in touch with everything Teledyne ISCO does here on YouTube. We invite you to follow us on our other social media platforms as well. You can find those links in the description. Once again, thanks for watching.